Man, it looks like these things just keep getting better. Now let's talk about Puppet Master Ford the Demon.
I put my pants on one nipple at a time.
The Demon, also known as When Bad Puppets Turn Good for some reason, is the fourth installment in the Puppet Master series, and a direct sequel to the second movie. I mean, it doesn't have Torch in it, but instead Six Shooter, who wasn't in the first two films. But hey, I guess Charles Band wanted to give his dad another paycheck for saying another 100 times. It's also worth mentioning that it does not at all, even slightly, touch on the ending of Part 2. If you remember, Part 2's very final scene had this life-size dummy possessed by a woman driving the puppets to a mental hospital for kids. Literally never touched upon at all, even a little bit. However, I did go on to read the comics for this in between watching the movies, at least some of them, and that ending is actually explored in those, which are actually canon. In it, you get to see the woman killing people in the hospital. The puppets feel responsible for letting their old new master go there and do this. They go there, deal with the problem. Yeah, it's stuff that could have made for a pretty fun movie. And actually, all of that comic could make for a really good series of Puppet Master films. But anyway, that aside, because this is a Part 4 movie review, so the movie may not feature Torch. I mean, outside of the movie poster, but it does feature a new puppet. This one's named Decapitron. This guy comes from a movie idea Charles Band had about a man who could swap heads, like putting on a killing head for killing and stuff. But because he didn't think it'd be possible due to the budget he thought he'd need, that movie never ended up happening, so instead that character lives on in this puppet. And I mean, it's not the worst idea ever, and I'm sure it wouldn't have been too bad as its own movie, but I would have just preferred Torch. I mean, the reason for Decapitron, which we find out later, is because apparently he's the only one that can stop the bad guy. Although we watched the puppets take out some of these bad guys, so, apparently Decapitron was the only one capable, but the others were doing just fine, so. Anyway, getting to the plot, this movie's about a man named Rick, who, along with a team, is trying to create artificial life. I guess he's getting really close. That or the evil overlords could just sense the puppet's presence in the hotel. Some initial thing caused the demon creatures to attack. I don't know if I just happened to miss it, or if it wasn't really specifically said, but yeah. Don't know exactly what caused the creatures to come here, because they're already being sent to these scientists way before we see the puppets, so it's not like Rick unearthing them did this. But anyway, yeah, the evil overlord, they send their minions to go kill all the people and the puppets, and that's it. It's not bad though. The movie's pacing is a bit faster than the last few, with this installment being about 20 minutes shorter than most, and so that means we get things moving a lot quicker, and not much time gets wasted on uninteresting or boring stuff. This, however, does come with some cons, such as the first two kills in this movie that happen in the lab happening off-screen, for the most part, and they happen so quickly that we don't really get a chance to know these characters' names. Like, it's made clear Rick and a team are working on this. However, the only two other team members we see are killed off just about as quickly as introduced. Personally though, I don't really mind. I'd much rather a Puppet Master set in a hotel than set in a science lab. Getting back to the hotel, Rick has his girlfriend come over and she invites two of her friends. Those two are dating. And the other girl, the one that's not his girlfriend, just so happens to be a psychic, to some degree. Though, the psychic friend is pretty useless, honestly. When she sees the blade puppet in Rick's room, she senses a great evil, and then comes across Toulon's trunk. The gang busted open, and inside they find Tunneler, Pinhead, Six Shooter, for some reason, and Jester. Not Decapitron though. His location is rather odd. Once they're unboxed, the gang become friendly with them, and oh yeah, it's worth mentioning that Rick has no idea Blade's alive, and come to think of it, we, the audience, have no idea why Blade was running around the hotel while the other puppets were randomly locked up in the trunk. Anyway, so they become buddies with the puppets, but the psychic hates it, and she and her man go off on their own. Meanwhile, Rick plays laser tag with Pinhead and Tunneler. Eventually, Psychic and her boyfriend are seen using an Egyptian Ouija board, or something. It definitely summons a creature. As a matter of fact, the thing that it summons is a totem, a minion of the evil demon lord Sutek. Eventually, the boyfriend dies and he's trying to escape with a car, and then Rick, his girl, and the psychic just run around for a while as the puppets keep them safe. And going back to Blade, before the other guy leaves to the car, the psychic told Rick about their spooky Ouija board experience, and so Rick goes to check it out. He doesn't find anything suspicious, but when he turns around he sees Blade and Pinhead. This is his first time ever interacting with the walking, stabbing Blade puppet. And he just goes, "You came to protect me?" As if he already knew Blade was alive. I mean, I wasn't expecting anything crazy, but just a little acknowledgement maybe? I mean, he's had Blade staying in his room since he got to the inn. I was just thinking there'd be as little as a comment like, "Oh, hey, you're alive too?" And I don't know. Anyway, so the puppets keep the 3 humans safe. And at one point, they Frankenstein a puppet to life. That puppet being Decapitron, who, according to the head of Toulon, who appears on Decapitron's blank head, is, again, the only puppet capable of defeating the evil, even though we've already seen the other puppets do just fine. I'm sure he's mostly referring to the evil demon lord and not just his minions, but even then, I mean, I don't know, I think the puppets had a good chance. I mean, when they're working together to kill people, they pull off some real crazy shit, like with one of the kills in this movie involving Six Shooter lassoing one of them with a wire, Pinhead tying the wire to a lightning rod, and literally electrocuting one of them to death with lightning. Such over-the-top, very specific kills. That was a lot of fun to watch. I think the puppets could have handled themselves, didn't need Decapitron, but whatever. Him coming to life and saving the day was clearly supposed to be a cool moment, but I just wasn't feeling it. I'm just not as big of a fan of Decapitron as a lot of Puppet Master fans seem to be. And regarding where this puppet came from, he was in a small crate inside of one of the hotel rooms. As if in the second movie, Toulon went, "Ah, yes, I better make a new puppet," or take an already existing one, "and stuff him into a box, then hide him somewhere in a random room of this hotel." Decapitron's existence is never touched upon, and the same thing goes for the reason behind the puppets being locked in the crate at the start of the movie, as well as the absence of Torch. I mean, according to Charles Band, Torch was because of budgetary reasons, but just don't do Decapitron. Charlie, I know you love this idea. I know you were dying to do something with it, but why force it into Puppet Master? It's neat, and like I said, it might make for an interesting solo movie, but it just wasn't all that cool in this. Anyway, so the movie ends with Decapitron killing the final minion, Blade's been downed and hasn't gotten up, Psychic Lady is seemingly unconscious, or dead, and the evil demon lord Sutekh might also be dead. Or well, that's how it looked. He made some weird dramatic falling thing in the brief glimpse we got of him, but yeah. Sutekh, by the way, he is an ancient demon lord, and Toulon stole some magic from his followers, who were ancient Egyptian sorcerers, who pledged their allegiance to Sutekh. I may sound like I think a lot of this is stupid and dumb, and yeah, I wasn't that big of a fan of Decapitron, but I did really enjoy this. This was actually a lot of fun. In the end, I would rate this installment an 8 out of 10. Its shorter runtime, along with its greater use of the puppets, make for a really enjoyable entry in the series, and it's easily one of, if not the best so far. If you've seen this movie, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Have a nice day.
Looking for more horror fun?
You're goddamn right.
Then check out the VHS comic book series, a parody of the horror genre that follows the lives of 3 teens as they fight to survive a horror movie, where every day is loaded with blood, boobs, and buds. The first 2 issues can be found in the description below.
I was obsessed with